Amos, I want to get a little bit into how we got here. You were in Saudi Arabia with the White House's Brett McGurk. This was reported by the Saudi State News Agency just less than 2 weeks ago. You met with the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. Did you walk away from that meeting thinking we'd be here today with OPEC Plus cutting 2 million barrels off the market?
I was there 2 weeks, around just about 2 weeks ago. No, I did not. I'm not going to go into the details of our conversation. They covered.
But no, you did not think there would be this big of a cut.
No, I did not.
What did you walk away thinking then from that meeting, that conversation with the Crown Prince? Obviously, energy was discussed.
Well, energy was one of the topics we discussed, and what I can tell you is I did not walk away with that understanding. But that was 2 weeks ago. I guess a lot can happen in 2 weeks in the global markets. Look, Annmarie, I think that the important piece here is to understand what impact this has. And this probably has a muted impact on the United States, as we are a dominant energy country, whether it's oil or gas or solar and wind and energy and clean technology. We are a very strong economy and a very strong country. But there are a lot of poor countries, low-income, developing countries who are reeling from high prices. And this action by OPEC yesterday is turning their back on those developing countries in support of the Russian, what is good for the Russian agenda at the moment to finance their failing military aggression in Ukraine.
So the sense I get from you, Amos, is that you walked away with a different picture of what the kingdom was going to be pushing at this OPEC meeting. People in your own party, they are not mincing words. Senator Chris Murphy, I thought the whole point of selling arms to the Gulf states, despite their human rights abuses, nonsensical Yemen war, working against U.S. interests in Libya, Sudan, et cetera, was that when an international crisis came, the Gulf could choose America over Russia and China. You were there with the president in July. This was a controversial trip for the president to make politically. Where does this relationship go from here?
So first, yes, I saw Senator Murphy's words. But let me be clear. I was with, as you said, I was with the president on that trip. Number one, the president raised human rights and raised the difficult issues with the Saudi leadership, because Joe Biden always raises the tough issues at the top of any meeting. And he stood up for our American values. So that trip was in no way, shape, or form to undermine that. But what we said before the trip, during the trip, and after the trip is that it was not about oil. We had a lot of strategic issues in national security areas that we thought we could advance, and the president is committed to advancing America's national security interests. Those included integrating Israel further into the Arab world with the overflights that we were able to achieve then, moving Iraq away from the influence of Iran and to integrate them economically and from an energy perspective into the rest of the region. So there were a lot of reasons for that trip. And in fact, when we announced that trip, oil prices were $117 a barrel. And today, WTI is still at, I don't know where they are today, but about $87 or $88. That is a $30 decline. Gasoline prices, when we announced the trip, were at $5. Today, most Americans are at $3.29. The average, obviously skewed by a handful of high prices. So we're still at significantly lower prices.
Right, and WTI this morning is trading just under $89 a barrel, $88.65, according to my Bloomberg terminal. But the point is, you made this historic trip. The president said more oil would be coming down the pipeline. The meeting right after that trip, you got 100,000 barrels. That's it. It was embarrassingly low. Now they're cutting 2 million. Just one question very quickly. Yesterday, Brian Deese and Jake Sullivan put out a statement, and there was a nod toward NOPEC legislation, which basically means the Department of Justice could sue these countries. In May, the White House had their concerns. Is this a signal that if this landed on the president's desk, he would sign it?
I'll let you do the tea leaf reading of the statement. I think we were both Jake Sullivan and Brian Deese were clear that we're going to work with Congress to see what kind of tools we need to make sure that the United States economy is strong